Oh my gosh, so here we are at a brand new episode of Talk to the Doctor, okay? And what I want to tell you is today I have the one, the only Matt Archbold in the house.
That's right. Yeah, thank you for having me.
You know, thank you for coming, mister. And I want to just dive straight into a discussion that I would like to ask you about, like, where did it all start for you in a sense where you first were like never surfed? And then all of a sudden you either saw it or like your experience of like becoming from a grom to like where you saw, because what I know is originally you were jumping on a boogie board. All my friends tell me about this. I think I was in Hawaii at that time or something.
Yeah, pretty much I just grew up at the beach at like T Street or the pier, and we all just kind of hung out, boogie boarding, swimming, whatever, just anything to be in the water.
Who's we all? Like, was there a group
yeah, it was like, let's see, like Freddie and
Freddie Von Muser?
Yeah, Freddie Von Muser, Kelly, Red. There's so many.
That's quite a crew right there.
Yeah.
You know, think about it. You, Freddie, Kelly, Red. I mean, I'm just getting a picture of that. You guys
bunch.
Are about how old?
Probably 9, 10, 11.
9 or 10 years. Mm-hmm. And you guys are kind of in the same age bracket, like you and Freddie and Kelly and Red.
Freddie was older, but he was like, he's probably 5 years older than me.
I know, but he looks like.
Yeah,
when he was like,
he was like a kid.
He looked like he was 12 when he was 40.
Yeah, and he's so small.
He's so small, yeah.
He's tiny. He actually sold me my first surfboard. That's funny, but we'll get to that.
That is funny.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
But he was always older, and so he's kind of the instigator and everything. But but we all hung out down at T Street, like, and then the older guys like Tom Philibar and.
I was just texting with him as we speak. Yeah. He's one of my good friends and mentors in my life.
Yeah, I love Philibar. And then, there's so many older guys that hung out, like Chris Howe. I don't know if you know Chris Howe.
Yeah.
Trying to think, George Axel.
Oh, my gosh.
He used to shred.
Shredding. His name comes up on my show.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Single
like it does,
fin.
because at the time, he was one of the guys.
Yeah.
Do you remember a guy named Mark Shyra?
Yeah, I was just about to say Shyra. Yeah.
My boy right there.
He's
because
one.
We went
He
to
used
Puerto
to
Rico
rip.
together the first time. And in 1988, Mark Shyra and Don Crummer and I went to Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
And Shyra's never left.
Yeah, I was going to say, I never saw him again. Yeah.
KV, you dropped off Shyra in Puerto Rico and never came home. We were done. He's like, I'm just going to stay. And we're like, no, get in the car. We got to go. And he goes, no, I'm staying. And we're like,
is he still there?
He's still there.
Have you seen him in a while?
No, I haven't been in Puerto Rico in quite a while, but I know I hear stories because KZ came and did the show and he sees him, and Rafi, I talk to Rafi all the time and he sees him, but even KZ was like, I mean, you got to say something about that guy, right? A lot of style, Mark Shyra.
Shyra was super style master.
When I first went to Puerto Rico with him the first time, not the time when he stayed, but we first went in 80, surfing with him every day was blessed for my surfing.
Yeah.
Just witnessing. It's one thing to witness Shyra at T Street.
Yeah.
Or Uppers or whatever. Yeah. But it's another thing to see him at Dogman's or Wilderness or tabletops. Like, whoa.
Yeah.
But I got to say, from all the surfers that ever came from here, he's someone that's why I brought his name up.
I always think about that guy because he was a big influence. And because I wanted to talk about, you say your favorite surfers, but before I knew who my favorite surfers were outside of San Clemente, I had my favorite surfers in San Clemente.
Let's talk about that. I like that.
Yeah.
Here's what we're going to do. We'll talk about your favorite surfers in town when you were like growing up, your influences. Yeah. And then we'll later go into like your top 5 favorite surfers of all time, which could be anybody.
Internationally.
Yeah, anybody. Who could be home too, right?
Yeah.
Could be someone from home. But the world is your oyster.
Yeah.
But like when you're growing up, like who'd you say influenced you in that way? Or not that influenced you, just you looked up to. Like we talked about Shyra, for instance, right?
So when I first started surfing, I looked up to like, I'd see come from the water. I'd see definitely George, Axel. I saw Mark Shyra, of course, Jimmy Hogan. I have a couple cousins, like John Morton, Vic and Rick Goddard.
The Goddard brothers, yeah. Absolutely.
Dude, there's so many guys, like Todd Griswana. He used to shred, dude.
Totally. Cole totally shredded.
Yeah. And,
oh my God, he lived with Grizzy.
Yeah.
When they was
right by the pier.
Yeah, and we were at the pier, and all of a sudden, this tall guy looked like Cole looked like a movie actor. When we were like all wild, grom, we weren't grom. Like we were teenagers, and all of a sudden Cole, he's like younger than me, showed up all serious and tall, slick black, blonde hair. Look at the waves, all just like, and we would just go, whoa, because everyone was kind of like, we were like, well, that was the midget era.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And then like Midget's whole program.
Yeah.
Midget, Greg Razonko,
Gary Ziegler,
that whole team, right?
I almost forgot Ziegler. Dude, that guy he was probably the best in San Clemente. And he was so. He held down 204 and
He just ran the whole 204 program.
But he shredded so hard. I remember just going into Midget Smith surfboards and just so I could go like talk to Gary, you know.
Absolutely. Midget shop right there where we eventually did the surf spot.
Yeah.
But I mean, just the thing of Midget, the whole deal with Midget, and then all his like, you know, and I want to say like, so those are like, that's a lot of cool names from town. You know? Like people that you're a grom coming up, paddling out. But were you paddling? So what was your first experience like getting in the water? Was that through the eyes of like body surfing or?
So I just spent so much time like, you know, body surfing, boogie boarding, you know, we'd be all boogie boarding down there and skimboarding, you know, on those little Minahoonie, boogie boards. I was actually on the cover because of Tony Prince would take pictures of us, you know, and he worked for Morty Boogie.
Yeah.
And like me and Red and my brother and so I just had a lot of water knowledge, you know, ocean knowledge. So just from being in it nonstop and nobody watching us, had to get out of situations ourselves, you know. But then like I remember my brother started surfing, him and Red, and then he's all, man, you're a boogie boarder. If you don't surf, you're a kook, you know. And it's like word for word, pretty much.
True.
And I was like, really? Okay. So I got a surfboard from Freddie Von Muser.
Do you remember what kind and shape and size?
I do. It's a 5'1".
A 5'1" from Freddie Von Muser.
Yeah, single fin. And it was a Mike Ryan shaped it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was all thick and
rad.
I wish I still had it. Had like these blue little jibe lines on it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I remember.
And what's cool is you remember the board. It was 5'1". It had quite a bit of meat.
Yeah.
And did you just like instantly, because, you know, there's a lot of talk about, you know, how quick you just, like it went from like you boogie boarded, you skim boarded, you fucked around at the beach, you guys were just groms, and all of a sudden, you know, there's a lot of talk about it. Like Archie jumped on a board and all of a sudden you know, what the, just some people just take to it.
Yeah,
you obviously have this kind of talent that just found yourself on a surfboard. And do you remember like the first time you stood up and feeling that groove?
Yeah, I did. So I caught, like, I remember paddling out and.
Where was the first place you stood up?
T Street,
Sick.
Of course. And I was we were out way out the back and.
At what age? Hold on. How old do you think? 11 years old. Yeah. You got your first board from Freddie. It's a 5'1". You paddle out of T Street.
Yeah.
And about how big was the day?
To me, it seemed like pretty big, but it was probably like 3 feet. It was probably, you know, shoulder height. And I just remember catching this wave. I don't even remember it really breaking, but I caught it somehow. And then I stood up and I went kind of straight and left. And I just went, and I just rode all the way in. I was like, whoa, that was sick. That was so fun. And then I think paddled back out. I can't remember too much after my first wave, and then it just something clicked, and I didn't stop. You know, I got so, because I was into sports anyways, like a lot of sports. I was in football, baseball, soccer, of course, and
you know, I heard a lot about that as well. In my whole life, I've heard about people talk to me like, you know, about, you know, what was going on, because you guys are a whole different generation under me. So I didn't know. I grew up playing those sports too, but I didn't know about that with you, right? So like guys would talk to me about, but, you know, before we surfed, Archie was douche, all these sports.
I did
and
a
I
lot
was
of
going, wow,
stuff.
what a trip, you know? So everyone always told me it's true of also, we talked about Gary Ziegler. He also had this trippy athletic, certain guys where you just go, man, they were going to do, Bobby Martinez, they talk about how he was so gnarly at soccer, and now he's like, certain people that just have athletic energy. Mm-hmm. Whatever they did,
you just get it. Yeah,
they're gonna probably go pro at whatever.
Tune in.
You know, Bobby would have went pro soccer.
Oh yeah.
But he found surfing and went, yeah, that's cool and all, but let's do this.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. Like, so you find surfing, you love it right out of the gate.
Yeah.
And how did that manifest from, like, say, I'm so stoked to be able to talk about like how, you know, like, how did that manifest from the first time you caught a wave to the next stage, which was, I don't think too much time between 11 and I want to say 14 or 15 when you're emerging into the world stage at such a young age, you know?
I mean, I was just surfing.
Little period right there.
Yeah, I was just surfing and like pretty much every day.
Here, was there any trips in your life before that? You just surfed San Clemente?
Yeah, I just surfed T Street, the pier, T Street, and then, you know, all the beach breaks down towards Cottons.
When's the first time you went somewhere like Hawaii?
No, yeah, I went to Hawaii.
Is that the first time you got off our shore?
Yeah. So my mom.
You were how old at that time?
I think I was 13.
Okay.
And I went with my brother. My mom took us over there. She like got a side job as a like paper out and saved up all her money. And then she took me and my brother over to Oahu.
Oh, cool.
And I was already friends with Key Sasaki and this guy Caven. And so when we went over there, they took us like to the North Shore, me and my brother, and
Totally.
we surfed VLAN. We surfed leftovers. We went checked out Rock Pile. I wanted to check out off the wall because looking at all the magazines,
Totally.
and pipe and all of that. There it is, but it was like a real rainy, stormy day, and so I didn't go out there. But we did go out of VLAN. It was like stormy, but it was so perfect. And
God, what a wave,
it was
right?
so fun.
What a wave. Do you remember the board you had on your first trip to Hawaii? It wasn't that same 5'1", I would
No.
Things that evolved
No,
pretty quickly
yes,
from the
yeah.
5'1" from Freddie to like, what were your...
I was riding. I think I got sponsored by Hobie,
Oh, sick.
so I was riding Terry Martin's.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you remember much about those shapes? Like, was that still in the single fin? Was that...
No. So I went from the Mike Ryan, then I got my cousin Vic Goddard.
Yep.
Made Whittled Sticks by Vic Goddard.
Yeah.
So he made me a twin fin.
Okay.
And so I got on a twin fin. And then from there, that's when we started doing like 360s. Those were big. And
Twin fins have a lot of different flow than a single fin, right? Yeah. And you kind of got into that, right?
Yeah, super. And then,
So you took a twin fin to Hawaii?
No.
Oh, no, yeah. I was going, wow.
Not yet. and then from that, I got sponsored by Hobie.
Nice.
And this guy, remember Scott Council? I don't know if you know that guy.
Yeah, the name sounds familiar.
Yeah.
If I saw him, I probably would, yeah.
He worked for Hobie, and he got me sponsored.
And at a pretty young age, I would say.
Yeah.
What, around 13? 12,
12
13?
probably.
12, 13. You stood up on a board at 11.
Yeah.
Okay. By 12, Hobie's coming around going, hey, we need to do something with you. You know what I'm saying? You're like,
when
I
I
don't
met,
know. You got a board?
Yeah,
right?
I got a board.
Like, yeah.
So I met Terry Martin and then Hobie Alter, and that's when I met Danny Bronner and Mike Muir.
Yeah.
They all worked at the Hobie factory. And then just from there, and then bam, the freaking Simon Anderson came out with the thruster.
Yes.
And that changed pretty much everything.
Yes.
And like Terry made me a new thruster, and I was like, that just, everybody just kinda
I remember the
changed
first
our
time I got
world,
on one
dude.
too. I lived in Hawaii and I got on a thruster.
Yeah.
And it changed my life. Boom. One wave I went, whoa.
Yeah, we're like,
Yeah,
whoa.
so I
now
can
we're going
imagine.
somewhere.
Yeah, now we're going literally.
Yeah.
Because the single fins were kind of slow and whatever. They were fun. The twin fins were kind of spinny and loose and slidey or whatever they did. And then all of a sudden you get on this thruster and you're like,
Yeah.
whoa. I was like, whoa, I could surf how I wanted to in my mind even.
Yeah.
Even though, not really, because I don't think that for me personally, I was ever really achieved. I mean, there's been moments, but like, some, that I don't think that, that was, surfing's my hardest sport. Like I played other sports, right? And did well at track and football and all that, but got MVP in baseball, football,
Sick.
all this stuff, right? But I surfed since I was a little grom too, but I just never was going to be, that good at that, right? So fortunately for me, I got to be coming around with all the guys around me just constantly. Like I said, I went to Puerto Rico with Mark Shyra.
Yeah.
That was elevating for my game.
Yeah.
Growing up around, with Dino around me and Shane, just what I saw, even in Hawaii and here was like, okay, well, it's just a good influence. So it's like for yourself, like who would you say in that time, going from when you first were to like, that area we're talking about now was starting to kind of feel like, were those same surfers kind of influencing you, or were you just kind of tuning in to like?
Then I started hanging out with like Terrence McNulty, and then I saw Shaun McNulty surf. He ripped. All the McNultys ripped.
All the McNultys.
Yeah,
It's
Brian,
incredible, right?
and Brian, of course. He's just freaking.
Brian actually made the finals at Pipe one year.
He's shredded.
Brian
I went on
McNulty,
tour
right?
with him, and
what a funny guy. What a cool guy.
He
Like,
is so funny.
he's just so classic. And then the McNultys too. I grew up with, I just saw Shaun McNulty recently at this Arch Gallery show. Roy was in it. All these guys were there. Scabs was there. Bruce Irons was there. All these guys had their art there. Even Joe Soffer had his art there.
Yeah,
it's
Joe,
really cool,
yeah.
But I get to just kind of wrap out and just get behind that whole like moment in life, right?
Yeah.
And here we are now. Looking back is so interesting sometimes because we have a chance to kind of get a perspective that at the time we might not have known who influenced us, and what we were gravitating toward,
Yeah, I remember. I think it was Shyra, actually. Mark Shyra was the guy that we were sitting on the bench one time at T Street, and I was walking up after surfing, and he told me, don't ever forget where you came from. And I was like, what does he mean about that? I was like, I think he was meaning like, as you get more successful in surfing or whatever, just don't forget where your
Your
stay
roots.
grounded. Like this is where you're from. Stay humble and stay.
Yeah, man.
You know?
Yeah, that's really
Yeah.
poignant.
It's always stuck in my head.
That's really cool. That's great
Yeah.
to share that, you know.
Yeah.
I just feel like he was someone, still remember that red, this was in the single fin days. He had this red single fin that he rode at T Street, and on big, when it was bigger at T Street.
Yeah.
Right?
He always
And the lines that he drew to me looked like the regular foot Jerry Lopez kind of like. I was just going, dude, this guy's flow is just so in the. And you know another thing about the guy, he's never done a push up or pull up once in his life. But when he's never trained. You know what I'm saying? Like, and we'd surf, and he's like a sea snake.
Yeah.
It's like he just paddles right past me every time. I go, how did you even? What?
Yeah, he's got the flow.
It's insane flow, bro. And then he catches 6 more waves, and you're still trying to get one.
Yeah.
It's amazing. So it was great to be around
the guy.
that
Where it's like, they're just they're magnets.
Absolutely. He is one of them. And to this day, even in Puerto Rico, guys talk about it. Like, he's this misto guy that shows up and the waves are good.
That's it.
Suppose he's got a house right above Las Dunas on the bluff there in Isabela.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. And it's just, he's kind of this misto guy. People go, oh, is that one, gringo guy? That just,
Loco gringo.
Jeez, right? So, yeah, that's really cool. And then, so you're in Hawaii. Do you feel like at that time you're surfing V-Land, leftovers, some spots you got? Do you feel like that moment was like a moment when you went, wow, San Clemente's one thing, but wow.
Yeah. Well, I just knew that Hawaii was like, I knew that someday I might be surfing there a whole bunch,
Yeah.
And it was my goal, one of my goals, obviously. And then, of course, my main goal was at this point to be a pro surfer. So I'm going to be, because I used to stare at the magazine and look at like Shane Horan, Rabbit, and all these, Richard Cram. And
I was just looking at a picture of Richard Cram yesterday on Surfline because his son has a feature, and I guess he moved to Western Australia or something like that. But I surfed with Richard Cram when I went to Australia, like around 1990 or something like that, and I was just so stoked. I love that.
Yeah.
Just, that meat carve way. I just love that kind of surfing,
Power.
So it's cool you mentioned. I just was looking, and he isn't a name that comes up very often. Right?
Oh yeah.
Just a rad carving surfer, That's cool you say him.
Fast and powerful.
Super fast and powerful, and kind of had this flow, like, So you remember at like, what would you say? At what age when you actually remember cementing in your brain that what? I want to be a pro surfer.
I'd say, probably 14.
14 years old, you kind of remember clicking in, going, there's a job at a restaurant, or there's a job, because what do we have in San Clemente? It's like we got restaurants or construction, right? All your buddies do construction, and half the time you see them at the beach, they're so pissed off and bitter
because they're mad,
so mad 'cause they worked all day, and then they're gritty and whatever, and then we're there surfing, and they're kind of mad because they're like, you're still trying to catch waves, and I worked all day, and you were here, KV. I'm like, but I tell people like that, I go, well, we all made our choices, right?
Yeah.
I didn't make you do construction, so get off my back. Okay?
Yeah.
But a lot of times I go, I get it. I'll get out of the water. I get you guys. I'm stoked. They're all my friends.
Yeah.
Right. But we didn't have that many options here. Right? San Clemente was in the middle of nowhere, and there was basically jobs at a restaurant or jobs construction or.
What else he did?
I don't know what else it was. One of my first jobs, I got a job, the beach cleaner guy.
No way.
Just so I could be at the beach,
Yeah.
But it wasn't that fun. But it paid okay, and I got a job, right? But I got a job at Carrow's. I'm just saying, like, your first jobs, you're like. But I worked a lot of construction, and it really taught me some things I don't want to do.
Yeah. Definitely.
Nothing against it. I think it's a rad thing, But I believe that it wasn't my thing. Like you'd see someone like, say, Mike Beshin or something, Shane's dad. He was a builder.
Yeah.
Like it seemed like he really embraced that. I just didn't. It wasn't for me.
Yeah.
So understanding yourself, like going, well, look at the options in the world. You're a kid. You probably don't even know that much about that, but you do know. Well, I don't know. Maybe I could do this thing.
I just that's all I wanted to do. That's all that was on my mind. Just be a pro surfer. I didn't care. Like, being a pro surfer to me, like, I wasn't thinking about, like, how much money I was going to make or, like, none of that. Like, finances, I didn't give a crap about it. I just cared about being able to travel to all those spots I saw in the magazine and surf them.
Yes.
And do what those guys were doing, because that's all I wanted to do. And, just get me there. I don't care how I get there or how much money I have in my pocket. As long as I'm there and I can eat and surf, that's all I care about.
And surfing those waves.
Yeah.
Kind of with also,
doing the contest,
in a sense, with those guys, too.
Yeah.
Like, hey, like, did you remember yourself having, like, that's a really cool thing you explained about the roots of your desire for pro surfing, right? Had nothing to do with money, had all to do with the experience, right?
Yeah.
And you really were a surfer. You loved riding waves, and you wanted to ride those waves the best you could. everywhere around the world with those guys.
Yeah.
Which at the time was like Pottz.
Yeah.
Right. Derek Ho. I mean, I think Derek
Dane
was Dane.
Kealoha.
Oh my God, one of my favorite surfers of all
yeah.
time. Dane Kealoha. Was Shaun Tomson still?
Shaun Tomson. When I first went on the tour, all those guys were still on the tour.
Oh my God.
So Shaun Tomson, Rabbit, Michael Ho,
Shane Horan.
MR was still there. It was. I was.
You got
just
in
like,
heats against those guys?
Yeah, I was so.
Sick.
You know, and then, of course, Tom Carroll, Martin Potter, like all those guys were just young.
Yeah, they were coming on tour, and
coming.
you were so young, and they had already kind of You got to surf in heats against, like, say, Shaun Tomson.
Yeah, all the time. I remember we'd have like expression sessions in Japan, or like they'd have an aerial show, you know, and Shaun we'd be laughing because Shaun Tomson would sign up for the aerial show, and we're like, dude, and he'd be like, oh man, how do I do an air? Or like you just come
Shaun
in.
Thompson asking you how to do an air.
Like
that's
he was trying to figure it out though, and it was.
I never saw him do an air. Did you?
No, I didn't see him doing air, but it was. I thought it was really cool that he was actually embracing
Humble
it and trying,
yeah,
and having fun with it,
Yeah.
And we're all having fun with it, It's just.
That's so
it was
cool.
It was so fun.
That is
cool.
so cool. Yeah. I mean, plus you're like
Occy, and you name it. Like every big name.
Of the day was right there.
Yeah.
And you were, let's say by then you were 15 or 14.
I was
16.
when I did this tour first. 16.
16 years old, you made the tour.
Yeah.
And that happened by way of like wild card or like qualifying?
No,
you
don't. You just got sponsors and went.
Yeah, that's right. You sign up.
And then you try to make the top 30 at that point.
Yes. So you could just sign. Anyone could sign up.
Yeah.
But most people, why would they do that? It'd be wasting money.
Exactly.
So you just sign up and you blow up, and all of a sudden you make the top 30, and now you get qualified to be able to go do the tour. Mm-hmm. And then you get a sponsor to pay for that, and you're like off to the races.
Yeah.
Which you did by 16.
Yeah.
Which is phenomenal. Just no one can really take anything but like, wow, kid gets aboard at 11. Okay.
Yeah, right.
A little 5'1", freaking thick, kind of, Mike Ryan, right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, from Freddie Von Muser.
Yeah.
And like 4 or 5 years later, the kid's on tour.
Yeah.
For us, I got to say, it's always been a pretty cool thing for us as San Clementians,
Yeah.
It's just really cool to see our guy like do that. Like we had a lot of the guys.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
All respect to everybody, right?
San
But that's a pretty
right.
unique story. And then what you did when you got there, I got to say, you made a big splash in the world, from what I remember very well, that the world quickly became to know who you were and were really interested in watching what you were going to do with these waves.
Yeah.
Your approach to the wave.
Yeah.
Like I want to say, that move that you did, it's kind of like this, your
the layback, yeah.
forward, back thing,
Yeah.
trippy thing. Like I've never seen, that was a 100% signature Archie move.
Yeah.
Right? Did that develop because structurally, like, were you on a wave and just went, man, I got to get out of the wave somehow this way? Because before that, it was like the layback.
Yeah, the layback. I remember seeing Hogan doing it, and I was like, laybacks are so bitchin', dude. And it was, people go, how do you do a layback? And you just lay back, man, and then you kind of just let the wave, like, kind of, as it barrels, it has to be a steep. You can't just lay back on a mushy.
Yeah.
And then it just sucks you up, and so you kind of just use the wave to keep you going, almost like a flow rider, cool thing, the friction of it or whatever. Anyways, but a long time ago, I saw Chappie Jennings, dude, do one of those laybacks on this movie called Kong's Island.
I remember that movie.
Yeah, and he did like the layback. I think it was Kong's Island.
Yeah.
And he did kind of like that layback thing, and I was like, fuck, that was cool. And so I kind of did my own little thing to it, and then tweaked it out even more.
Way different
like
thing.
A lean forward.
Yeah, with this arm
forward
against the wave.
Yeah.
And I remember just going, whoa.
Yeah.
Like, because it looks so functional, but also very limber.
Yeah.
Like, you got to be pretty much of a, you got to be limber. Your body's like, it's limber.
Yeah.
But I don't remember anyone. That was like a signature. I never saw it before that.
Yeah.
Like, you obviously functionally figured that out.
Yeah.
Right. One day you just went, what about this way? Yeah. I could go back. I could go far. I'm just saying. And it
just said, maybe I was figuring out. So like sometimes when you fall doing layback, you kind of lean forward, and I was like, oh, well, grab my rail. Maybe push the elbow down there. I don't know. Just go with it.
What a stylish move. I've always tripped on that move a lot.
Yeah,
and yeah, for sure. I think the whole world did. That was just one moment where we were like seeing, I would see it live, but I mean, even if people see video or a still of like the sections you'd be in and how you'd be coming out of it so tight that, your body gets into a pretty tight little ball that
Yeah.
way, right? So
you can get into the smallest little
really, yeah.
little barrel. It's so
And
fun.
you know, something that comes to mind too is that time that I saw the footage and you went to Pavones.
Oh yeah, that was sick.
Do you remember how old you were at that time?
Yeah, I was 15.
Oh, you went to Pavones at 15.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
I was 15.
And just that was like a moment when there wasn't a lot of
Right before,
footage of
yeah.
Pavones before that. It was like
No.
kind of being discovered about that time.
Yeah.
To some degree. And all of a sudden there was this movie with you doing like 140,000 miles an hour on this.
Yeah.
It's just insane. I mean, that was a moment. I
Went
remember the
down
moment
there.
feeling
Yeah.
like the world got to know you even more a little bit from going, who's this kid? Going, what the fuck? I'm just saying, like,
Yeah.
that was a pretty rad moment in time, you know, somewhere between you being like 15, 16.
Yeah.
Big splash.
That was big. Yeah, I went down there with Scott Dietrich was actually the filmer.
Cool.
Or actually, I hired this guy Jeff, and he had a house down there.
Sick.
And I went down with Dean Reynolds and Norm Rebelio.
I remember Norm very well.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Dean, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, do you remember the feeling of life change between, you know, Grom, you know, like we talked about, the trajectory of your time, and then all of a sudden you do, you know, reasonably quickly achieve this dream that you had to become a pro surfer. And
Yeah.
you're now living that dream reasonably. Like you said, it wasn't about money. I mean, it was just about the lifestyle. Once you were quickly living that lifestyle, do you remember the shift in terms of what that made you feel like as you looked at the world, being able to then travel and get out of town? And remember that feeling of like achieving it to some degree versus dreaming about it?
Yeah, I was, especially when I go to like Japan, Australia and stuff. I don't know. I was living the dream, definitely. You know, I was like, God, this is pretty cool. The only thing I was getting bummed out about was I wasn't doing it as good as I wanted to.
As far as results?
As a result, yeah. And I was doing okay. You know, I'd get fifths and ninths and stuff like that. But I just don't think they were ready. Like the judging criteria they haven't
way
changed.
behind the time.
They didn't change it yet. So now it's way different.
Yes.
And back then it was still kind of old to where they were, you know, judging. I don't know how they're judging the cut back, you know, and they're still milking the foam. I was like, dude, this is just so
Boring.
stupid. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, you want to do. I think back then we were doing like speed floaters and like, you know, throwing the tail out the back was just starting to happen, you know, and airs, of course. And you know, you do an air or like a big throw tails across a section, and you get the same as someone just doing a cut back into the pocket, and you're like, what? Dude, come on, man. I was going so fast, you know, but I didn't like go and complain, you know, but I'd just be like, kind of just, you know, kind of let the air out of my balloon, you know,
Yes.
just like, "Rrr."
Yes.
And so I was getting frustrated.
It makes a lot of sense when you
Yeah.
think about it, because let's talk about what it's really about. I think we could really isolate what surfing judging really is about is the degree of difficulty,
Yeah.
right? So like you're going, excuse me, you boneheads,
Yeah.
the degree of difficulty that I just did, not trying to be arrogant because I never saw you as that at all.
No.
You're just humble going, I don't know. I think what I did was harder than what they did. You
Yeah.
know, whatever. Nothing against that guy. It's not his fault. The
No.
judges are what they are, right?
Yeah.
But I could see how that would be kind of demotivating on a level.
It was.
You know, like you'd be like, I finally get to the big game and I feel like I'm kind of here. Like, I mean, I should get results that are better than this. And you guys are just like backwards.
Yeah.
Right.
And I was, you know, I was learning still, and it was a big learning curve, but I felt that I was progressing in like contest surfing. And
Your performances were progressing,
Mm-hmm.
but were you feeling like your results were progressing with it?
no. See,
Yeah,
I
that'd have to
kept
be
feeling
so-
like I was going up, because I surf with, you know, all these different guys, and I'd see them, you know, the way their approach to a wave or their lines are drawn, and I just matured a lot quicker than if I just stayed in San Clemente.
Definitely. Definitely.
And the different spots and the waves, and
It was noticeable
Yeah.
being in town at the time, seeing you come back off certain times and just even just local waves going, oh, I mean, you just were progressing really fast. You're already progressed already to get there, but it was noticeable over a certain, you're just like, whoa. I mean, I remember the story I told in the Archie movie when I had just got back from Hawaii and I was living on Maui and there wasn't really anyone doing airs. I mean, it was Lloyd Ishimini and Brad Lewis and Honolulu DuPont and just this handful of guys, best surfers on the island. And none of that, they were just, you know, ripping sick waves. Like it wasn't really high, you know, it wasn't that. And I come back to town, you know, wasn't around that since I left in the late 70s. I was kind of in the jungle on Maui, just living this whole Tarzan thing. And then I come back and I paddle out at the pier, and really quick, like early on, I remember just, and so I was just, and I even brought back my outer island surfboard. So I was on this 6'4", like it was kind of, I mean, whatever. And I'm paddling out, and all of a sudden you take off really fast. Kind of remind me of how Midget used to surf, like not saying comparing the styles,
rad,
but he would take off when we were groms and he'd go, whoo, whoo, and he'd be going and we'd be like, oh, and then all of a sudden I'm paddling out and you're going, whoo, whoo. And there's a point where I'm like, fuck.
He's going to hit me.
He's going to fucking hit my head. Like my head's right here. And all of a sudden I go, fuck. And then right here and you go, whoom. And I swear, I'm like paddling out. Now I'm like up the half foot going, what the fuck? He just flew over. And then you landed perfect, ripped it all the way to the fucking pipe, by the headquarters. Yeah. And I was just going, oh my God, what have I been? Holy shit. Yeah, it was a moment in my life. It was really cool. And plus you were like, had this look on your face, like you knew that like you were coming, I could just tell you were kind of having fun with me, like, KV, boom, boom. And I just went, oh my God. So that was a moment. I never got to say the whole story in the movie because I didn't get to really say I had just gotten back from Hawaii and I was mind fucked by the whole thing. Well, I did, but it got cut. So anyways, but Bill Ballard in that movie was cool. I'll tell you this, but what I do like is that he came to me and said, hey, I'd like you to, if you do a little something for the movie. I go, yeah, whatever. And then I do my thing. I just do my thing, which is my thing is basically as more of an entertainer, right? I'm not a pro surfer. And then I get done, he says cut, and he looks at me and goes, oh, cool, man. He goes, finally, someone's maybe going to make someone laugh in the theater, because it was a lot of somber kind of, and I go, well, whatever, man. I'm just, I'm just being myself or whatever. So then we go to the premiere at the Lido, and I remember the moment when and it did. And I felt good because the theater laughed. Yeah. That's cool. And I was like, I'm doing my job. Now, right. To make people at least feel entertainment on some level. And I feel like,
not so serious.
It was kind of somber in a sense. I was like, I didn't really particularly, not my cup of tea. What they did. Not what we do here. Okay, what we do here is we just try to bring light and bring joy and talk about the joy in life. And if there's pain too. It's all good. But moving forward, I would say, so you were on tour feeling a little, disenchanted with the idea of the judging. It's fair to say. Nothing against ASP at the time, but it's just calling a spade. Because I remember Shane and I were really close, and he would tell me these stories about the same thing. Yeah. And he was like, "Kavi, they don't even know. Like, they don't even know what to call what we do." Yeah. And he was real frustrated by it. And super frustrated. And I think, he did speak up one time at ASP.
Yeah, I think he did.
That didn't really work out too well for him, actually. Yeah. So I told him, be careful because you might be considered biting the hand that feeds you. Yeah. And he said, it's all good, man. I can't, it's bubbling out of me. Yeah, I just got to tell him what's up. So, whatever the history of the sport it is, but at least today we're at a new era where we feel like they kind of get it now.
Yeah, totally. And if there's a problem, they'll listen to. I think these days maybe they listen to the surfers, or they have
I think they're more interested. Yeah, and so I want to say moving forward, like you went through that period where you felt that way, and then how did that pan out for you? Like I remember then there was an area where you much later you ended up in Hawaii and really focusing on off the wall and performances on little boards at off the wall, and you had your rad cars there, and you were kind of living this life. But I think there's a lot of period between here and here. Yeah. I'm not trying to make this whole show about the chronological story of your life, but to some degree, I think it is kind of cool to see how do we go from like a stoked grom who makes tour, who's psyched to be on tour because it's everything, rad. You get to surf all these rad waves, all these rad dudes. And then at one point there's a little bit of disenchanted energy with it. Yeah. And then, what at that point, did you do in a sense with your life, like your talent? Like, did you feel like, I was just disinterested to some degree through a certain period?
I don't think. I still think about that a lot, and I wonder what I did too. But I was kind of lost years. But
do you think it might have had something, whatever that was?
I was a little bit I was
disenchanted.
Yeah,
kinda?
A little bit. I did not like. I love surfing, and I never stopped surfing. I just got kind of bummed out, and I started drinking a bunch and more than usual.
Sure.
And then I started showing up not really caring, You know, like
kind of as a rebellion, right?
Yeah, just like,
right.
fuck
Kind of
this,
as a
you know?
rebellion. You're like, you
And
fucks
just
don't get it anyway, right? So
start
why the fuck
drinking.
should I be some guy that shows up all caring?
Yeah.
Because you fucks aren't going to understand what I do anyway.
Yeah.
So he felt a little, you know, kind of that rebel, kind of pissed off. He still showed up, but you weren't showing up with your full stoke because you're going, what does it matter?
So I just kind of took another route, you know.
Yeah.
So I just bailed on the tour, and then I just kind of fucked off for a while, for a couple years, and just served. And
Because you still had a certain amount of support.
oh yeah, I still
Right.
had sponsors.
So you had sponsors and money. You had a
life.
lifestyle. And to some degree, I want to say at that time, similar things were happening in our sport where there was kind of division.
Yeah.
I don't want to name names, but kind of there was like
Free
this
surfing
clean
and-
cut,
yeah.
like nothing against, like say like Damian Hardman approach, you know,
Yeah.
nothing against that. You know, poof, 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 you know,
And
cool,
like Barton
whatever.
Lynch and
Yeah, that clean kind of jock, kind of just, you know, like you could, I don't want to, you could just in your sleep smoke those guys.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever. That's me saying it.
Yeah.
You don't have to say it. I'll say it. Okay. In your sleep, you smoke those guys. Those guys are winning world titles, and you're just they can't. There's no way they could
they're just super consistent doing the same thing over and over. You can kind of predict what they were going to do.
totally predict.
And nothing against, like I said, nothing against them. They're my friends and super
Totally.
nice guys. But
It's not their fault. They're judging criteria what it
and
was.
and they were smart because they were actually following the criteria what you're
Exactly.
supposed to do. And I was like, and me myself, I'm like, fuck that. I'm gonna surf like I want to surf, and you guys will catch up someday, you know. But right now, I'm just gonna do what I do.
I fucking love what you
Yeah,
just said,
yeah.
man. I fucking love that.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line is you're going to be you. And if they figure it out, they figure it out. If they don't, you're still going to be you. You're not going to conform
Yeah.
and end up being some little cookie cutter fucking guy
No,
doing
I'm not
4 to
gonna
the
do
beach.
that.
You're not going to do that shit. Right?
No.
So even at the time, there was quite a few guys doing that. Like it was before
Oh,
Mike
yeah.
Parsons really had his big wave thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And he kind of won, you know, like
He won
he won this
contests too,
PSAA and
doing the
just, you
same
know, it's
thing,
like,
yeah.
you're going, what? How the,
following the criteria, which like I said,
smart in that
yeah.
way, but boring for us.
Yeah, I mean, you know, nobody really wants to go down to the beach. I mean, I want to see, like, you know, someone just you don't know what they're gonna do. There's unpredictable, and there's like, oh, you get down there, you get excited, like, oh my god, there's way. What are they gonna do? They're gonna just, you know, pearl and eat shit at the bottom, or
Yeah.
they're gonna come out and just do some huge hack, get barreled, do whatever they're gonna do, and you just don't know. So just that excitement of not
The
knowing.
unpredictability,
Yeah.
the not knowing. I literally remember we would, I don't know if you're conscious of this, but we would get out of the water to watch you surf
Oh yeah, I didn't know that, but thanks.
at the pier.
Yeah.
The waves would be good, and we'd be there going, oh, fuck, Archie's a shit. Okay, I already surfed. Fuck, we would just get out and sit there and go, fuck, I just want to see this shit. Because it was like that to the extreme. I feel like you were the guy that brought that, and I think brought that excitement to surfing too, because before that, there wasn't a lot of that. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, whatever, nothing against all the few previous generation. I mean, Buttons had that.
Buttons was gnarly.
Buttons had that. Larry Bertleman had
Yeah.
that. Okay. But there wasn't too many generations of where there was some new element of creative energy in surfing.
Yeah,
you know, because before that it was like BK and Hackman and Lopez, and they were carving masters, just, you know, Roy Lopez, all these guys, super rad. But there wasn't really innovation that was, I mean, maybe when MR and Shaun Tomson were in the tube.
Yo, that was sick.
That was sick.
That was so
That was
rad.
sick,
Oh my
right?
god.
But
That's
that was
cool
a
they have footage of
moment,
that.
right? You're like, oh, but I mean, in general, there wasn't a lot of that. So then all of a sudden with your generation, and I want to say, obviously Christian was at a
Yeah.
time in his life when he was doing similar shit,
Big-
different type of shit, but similar, going, not following tradition. And also personal style, just being a much different kind of human.
Yeah.
Not a follower, kind of not caring.
No.
But caring enough to where it hurts you if they're not rewarding you for your performance. So I want to say
Yeah.
there's that, but there's still a going, dude, I'm not going to conform to your shit, man. I'm going to do my deal. So love what you said about that.
Yeah, thanks.
And I got to say that, you know, for us collectively, it was very, very frustrating time as well for us because
Yeah.
we knew what was happening. I wouldn't even need to talk to you. I would just know he's just fucking over it, because why would he be that stoked? Like, it sucks because we have this kid that's from our town that's so fucking rad, but they just fucking just don't reward him. So now he's kind of on a tangent because how wouldn't you be? You know, like how wouldn't you be? I remember one time Dino and I were in the water. This is an amazing story. Dino and I were in the water at State Park, only guys in the water. Good day. not a great best ever state park day, but definitely a good day. I want to say 3 to 5 feet state park, wedging, bowling, just me and Dino on the water. All of a sudden, we hadn't seen or heard of you in months. Well, we definitely heard of you all the time. We didn't see you for months. And all of a sudden, you came walking down the beach with I want to say one of those deep six.
Yeah, the deep channel.
Yeah.
Sick.
And one of those, I think it was a Timmy's or whatever, maybe. And we're just like, oh my God, Dino's like, there's Archie. I'm like, no way. We haven't seen you in so long. You look pretty pale. Okay. You didn't look very healthy. You looked like just really like, oh my God. And this is insane. You paddle out, we're sitting there and you paddle out. And before you even reach us, you kind of say, yeah. And then you catch this like halfway, like not a total set wave. And you catch this wave and we're obviously watching your first wave because we asked you when you came out. And we're just looking at each other going, is this fucking... So you paddle out and go, Dino's like, hey, where you been? Archie, blah, blah. And you're like, yeah, I'm just, first time out in months,
Yeah.
We were tripping on this. What you were able to do after just whatever you had been doing for months, and all of a sudden we were just going, to freedom to be able to. So, I got to say, there was moments where we felt collectively, kind of your pain in a sense. I think we understood it, and moving forward out of that, because, that is what it is. But then when did you find yourself getting back into another flow? Was that when you kind of were able to go to Hawaii and do your whole off the, that whole time? Yeah.
So I bailed here after that whole scenario. I kind of was just on a roll, but I decided I'm out of here. I'm going to go to Hawaii, I'm going to move over there. And so I just had two boards, I think, 2 Timmys.
Sick.
Because Gotcha or MCD, they put me on we're not going to pay you. We're just going to pay your rent, give you some spending money because they didn't trust me. So they're just not going to do anything right now. So I'm like, shit, man, I don't have any money. So Timmy made me a couple boards, a couple of cheetah boards. One purple, one was
I remember those.
The brown one.
Yeah.
And
How big?
one was 6'5", and the other one was 6'8". And I was like,
wow,
all right, I'm out of here. And I just taped them together. And then I had Matt Phillips drive me to the airport, dude.
Nice.
I think he has a picture of me leaving. I was I had 2 boards taped together in a backpack.
Sick.
And that's all I had, dude. I didn't have nothing in my pocket.
Do you remember what year that was?
Dude, I don't. Maybe 92, 93 maybe.
Okay.
And I was like, later. And I think he has a picture of me and dropped me at the airport.
I think I've seen that somewhere.
Yeah. And then I just bailed. And then I was still sponsored by Town & Country, and then they picked me up at the airport, and then they put me up at a place
on the North Shore or in town.
In town, just because we were doing some content. I don't know what we were doing.
Something, yeah.
And then I made it to the North Shore. Brian Surratt helped me out.
Killer.
Yeah, and he got me a place to live on his street, so he can pretty much
kind of keep his eyes on you.
Yeah, watch me, and got me a cool little pad. And
cool.
And then
because that's right. That's his little neighborhood.
That's
isn't it?
right.
That's where he runs things down there. Yeah,
Brian, and then so I just started surfing. Doing my thing. Back door off the wall.
You found yourself gravitating toward there, even though you were living right there at Sunset Point, right there, right?
Yeah. I just ride a bike down there.
Just ride the bike down there, and then is it fair to say there was just a lot of days when it just for some reason or for whatever, there's a lot of people at Pipe, but not really too many people at Off the Wall.
No, I just paddle over there, just sit and wait.
Insane.
And logs, and then I surfed logs a lot. And I actually got a lot of photos on those 2 boards that Timmy made me.
Yeah.
And
we started seeing that.
Yeah.
We started seeing that. It was like the resurrection in a sense.
Yeah,
right?
it was.
We were just going, okay, now they can't fuck with him.
Yeah, and so I just stayed there for a long time. And then Brian actually was coming back he was, I think, nationals at Lowers or something. Then he brought Ford back to me. I said, hey, can you bring Ford here? He was 3 years old or something. And so he put him on a plane and he brought him to me, and then so it was just me and Ford. We were cruising for
How old is Ford now?
He's 34.
Whoa,
dude,
that's just wild.
Yeah.
So wild. So that period, I want to say, was his 93-ish through. Was there a period of your life that really was kind of your focal point? Was that like a 5-year, 8-year, 10-year?
That was good question. Probably 10 years almost.
10 years of your life from 1993 to 2003-ish, give or take, it's just, I just really enjoy the chance to be able to kind of discuss in a sense, chronologically, like to understand, okay, this era, this era, this era.
Yeah.
This is what happened during this time. Because that was a really, and then your boards, kept getting smaller.
Yeah. So
The waves kept getting bigger.
yeah. Yeah.
Right. I want to say there was, from what I understand, 8 foot off the wall.
Yeah.
On a sub 6.0.
Yeah. 6'0", 6'1", 6'3", the biggest. I was started, on like 6'8", 6'5", and I was like, these boards are too big. They're not fitting in the pocket,
Yes.
to where I want to be. And so I just started riding 6'3s, and then I was like, I don't even really, I think I probably broke a 6'3", and I had a 6'1". I was like, I'm just gonna ride the 6'1", and I just
Felt free.
yeah, it felt perfect. As long as you can paddle out, which is easier for me because it's easier to duck dive.
Yep.
Get situated and move around, and like you could flip around and take off late under the
Under
lip.
it, yeah.
Yeah, and just boom. And once you're in the wave, you want that quickness under your feet to pump in the barrel or wherever you're gonna go with it.
Much more maneuverability.
Yeah. And
What
stable.
were the shapes like? Do you remember what you were riding? Like, were those the deep six still?
Yeah, I was riding a lot of swallowtail channel bottoms and
Yeah.
pintail channel bottoms, and then I just had regular like pintails, a lot of pintails,
So like a 6'1" pintail.
Yeah,
Right.
6'1".
Straight swallow, pintail,
Yep.
that kind of thing, right? Pulled in, really good.
Yeah.
Not a board you'd ride, like, even though it's only 6.0, it's still not a board you would take, to T Street or something, like
No, I
a
mean,
board
you
that
could,
you
but-
could, but it wouldn't be the ultimate for that,
No.
right? It would just be like really ultimate for that.
Yeah.
Because I feel like a lot of people were tripping on this. I think I want to say once again, and looking at the sport and the evolution, that you were able to take and kind of alter the general mind flow. Because I think at first you did that in a high performance way, in a carvy way. You definitely weren't a guy that people just thought about it as. It was the way you rode the wave to this day. Not rode, I want to say in past tense.
Okay,
You're still
thanks.
doing it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I see you surf now. I'm like, God, he's still doing this. It's insane how good you are. And to this day, some guys kind of had a moment and their moment's gone, right? But I'm just saying, like, you still surf every day and you surf. There's no real disconnection.
No.
Like I saw that thing last year where was it last year or the year before you guys went to that thing at the Huntington, the few guys.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It was, the waves were kind of small,
US
so it's
Open,
kind of
yeah.
a bummer, but it was just kind of cool to see. I mean, here we are, guys.
Yeah. I get to surf with Kern and
Yeah, that was a
That was
cool
fun.
moment, right?
Yeah.
But I'm going to say what you did at Off the Wall, I feel like is groundbreaking in our sport. Tell me if I'm wrong. Not too many people, if any, were riding 8 feet out there.
no, pretty much.
8 foot?
Yeah, there wasn't.
I mean, because at 10 foot it's done, right? It's too big when it's 10 feet.
you can.
Was there 10 foot sets?
Yeah.
So you
You
took
could
off
take
at
'em.
10 foot sets at Off the Wall on a 6'1", 6'0".
Yeah.
Was there ever a sub 6'0" in there somewhere? A 5'11"? Did I hear stories about that?
Yeah, I've been out days where I've ridden like a 5'9", 5'11", where it's like, you paddle out and it's, 4 to 6 feet, just goofing around, and then all of a sudden it swell bumps up fast, and all of a sudden you're, it's 8 to 10 feet,
It's 8
especially
to
the
10.
ones that pick up fast. Those things are gnarly, and
Yes.
they just, and it just a lot of power coming in.
And you're taking off on a 6'0" or sub 6'0" or whatever. I'm just going to say, I don't believe people
Yeah.
were, if we look at the tour now and we see the stuff that's going on at Chope everywhere, they are not riding boards that are 6'8", 6'6", even maybe a bigger guy's riding a 6'4",
Yeah.
but I mean a Conor O'Leary kind of guy maybe, but maybe like a Geordie or,
Yeah.
they're riding bigger boards because, they're such big humans, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, it's fair to say that you kind of showed the world what could be done, change your mind,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden you can
Yeah.
drop into these, so that's kind of cool. I don't know that people give you a lot of like verbal credit for that as much as they do the generation before where you were blowing minds in performance ways,
Yeah.
right? But this is straight air, just gnarly drops right into the pit, come out some, don't come out of all,
Yeah.
and just drive till you can't drive anymore,
That's
kind of
right.
barrel riding, right?
Just almost get knocked out like every other wave. You're getting the close out and just like probably have PTSD from it. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean that's gnarly ballsy shit. Like that's gnarly
Yeah,
ballsy
pretty
shit.
good- pretty
I don't
good
think to
slams.
this day. That was then, this is now. I still don't see anyone doing that.
Yeah.
Do you?
No. I don't know. Well,
I mean, I'm just saying I haven't.
Yeah.
I'm not saying no one does it, but you literally renovated, or like, kind of just had a whole nother chapter in your, surf career.
Yeah.
Based on going, yeah, well, check this out. Whatever. You were doing it not to say check it out. You were just doing it because you want to go get barreled.
yeah.
Right. So, I mean, I feel like that was always your deal.
Yeah.
You weren't, This is another thing I want to say that I know was true back in the day. You tell me what you think about this. All the guys I hung out with, were most of my best friends were involved in surfing on some level. It's just look where we're from, right? So I'm with, all kinds of guys, and they're, we're cruising and whatever, and they're actively seeking, rapping out with photographers, or if it's Flame at Creek or whoever's shooting wherever. And it's like this whole circular, me and Fatty are cruising going, we don't even know. We're just long-haired surfers cruising with our buddies, just going surfing every day. But there's always this like energy of like the photogs and the vibe of like seeking out each other, right? What I always remember is true is that you were totally the opposite. You never were calling photographers. They were going, hey. So certain guys would just be seeking them out and building this whole connection with, hey, where are you going to be? We're going to shoot. That whole thing. Yeah. And then those same guys are going, yeah, that's all cool, but hey, where's Archie? And Archie would be never fucking, there was no like way to, it wasn't like you did it the other way. Yeah, you were just going surfing. But they were trying to find where that was.
Yeah, that's better that way. They can come after you.
I just love that. To me, that's James Dean shit. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? That's Marlon Brando shit. Yeah, that's cool. Like really fucking legit. Like, hey, I'm just doing what I'm doing. If you guys want to check it out, let me know, whatever. I'm not seeking you out. Yeah. It's really cool. So I remember really digesting that and feeling on some level just the ultra cool trip. And then I remember the tone and the voices of the photographers that would be like, hey, but all the time they'd be like,
panic mode.
Yeah, like, well, but yeah, we'll see you guys at Creek. Or hey, have you seen Archie? Like all the time. And you were just so missed out. They'd be like, what the fuck? And I think you would be like slipping out, like, like that day I saw you at State Park, or you were kind of like totally going almost out of your way to just go surfing.
Yeah, as long as there's good waves,
I just think there's beauty in that because it's pure.
Yeah.
The purity of it all, right?
Definitely.
So I want to say, now let me get to this question that I have about who are your top favorite surfers of all time.
Shit, that's so hard.
I know it's hard, so no pressure. If it's only 5, it could be 6, whatever. I'm just saying top 5. Where we go with that is up to you.
Well, definitely Martin Potter for sure.
Okay.
And I always say that, but I can't help it.
Like how could I mean?
Yeah.
All respect to Pottz. I mean, what he did it here. He lit the town up. Who he was as a person to you too, and just his whole approach to you could see the connection.
Oh yeah,
it's fair to give it up to Pottz.
Him and just watching those early,
How old were you when he showed up in town? You weren't even.
I wasn't pro yet. No, I was.
No, you were
13 or something.
Yeah, when he got here, you were surfing.
Yeah, I was surfing because I remember the first time I saw him, and I was like, ooh, who's that? Holy shit.
Sick.
And I was like, oh, that's Martin Pottz. Oh, my God, that is Pottz. Because Hogan brought him out to T Street. I was like, dude.
It's a moment.
I was so stoked.
It's a moment in our town.
Yeah.
It really is. I lived in Hawaii at the time. I missed all that. But I heard about it.
It was so cool. Yeah.
I came out of being years gone. I left as a teenager. I came back in my mid-20s. And just this whole town was just incredible back then. Yeah. And what was happening in the surf and our parties and just our whole life it makes my skin stand up. It was so fun, It
was a good time.
It was a really good time. It was a really good time.
Killed it. Yeah.
We really did. And you were such a lightning rod in our town just for people to like, honestly, when we're on our show and people talk about top 5, I don't know if you've seen it, but it's most often you're in that.
Yeah. Well, that's cool.
It's pretty cool, Yeah. So anyway, moving on. So you have Pottz.
Yeah, Pottz. Trying to think of there's so many people that I'd have, you have to do the top 5. I don't. Well, I'd say Andy Irons. He is one of those. We're talking about unpredictability and
anything's possible at any moment.
Yeah, it depends his mood, but he loves surfing for sure because I've been on a bunch of trips with him, and he's just surfaholic.
Full blown surfaholic. Yeah.
Yeah, I just loved it. Just the thrill.
Pure thrill guy. I had a friendship with him as well, and. Gosh, man, that was evident. Very evident about him. Raw love surf, psyched.
Yeah, he's.
But he actually too. Also, I believe he really wanted to win.
Oh yeah.
He would love surfing and all that.
And Bruce are so competitive.
So competitive.
It's a funny stories back then, but anyway.
I'd love to hear one of them.
Yeah,
mister.
I'm trying to think.
So there's a couple.
I always liked the way Rabbit surfed, Bartholomew. Because of his style.
Yeah.
Shane Horan.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I have to say him because of just because I studied his before Pottz, it was Shane Horan for me, and just studied his the way he put his arm, and I just because we only had still pictures, you know.
Totally.
How do you get to there? You know, he'd have like this fucking big fan, and then the board would be down here. And I'm like, okay, how did he get there?
How the hell did he get there?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, and it was a trip. Did you ever trip on his whole trip with like those laser zap fucking
keel fins, and he would just stick to it, you know. And
God.
I used to watch. I was on tour with him, so I got to watch all his heats. I would, you know, just be plastered on the sand, just watching him or the cliff or wherever.
Yes. Well, a very watchable man. Mm-hmm. Another really good friend of mine, and I just always blow. Such a cool dude.
He's such a good dude.
Such a good dude. Like the chorus, solid. Good dude. Like a good human. Like a good dude. Like a rad. I've just seen him all over the world from different travels that I've had, and I've known him, and we're friends, and it's just, you know. It's great to mention him because I think so there's four. There's I want to, you know, we start off with Pottz, we got Andy, we got Rabbit, we got Shane Haran.
God, I know. Shit.
It's
so hard because it's so important.
There's so many, right? It's tough.
And then I'll go, Chad, I should have said him.
But it doesn't have to just be 5. You know, I just do the top 5. It could be 6, 7, 8, 10. I don't even care. I just love to hear people and I think the world would be love to hear this. Like, who are you know what I'm saying? Like everyone, like I said, Roy, different people, the ones they say, you're like, wow, like the ones Nathan said, or just you're really, okay, cool.
Well, because I like, you know, you like the old style, even longboarders are like, you know.
Oh.
You know, Mickey Dora or something. You know, Mickey Dora was like just a style master, you know.
Yes.
And so I'd say he'd be up there for sure.
Well, it makes me feel good because he's always been my favorite surfer of all time since I was a kid.
He's so...
I was a grom.
The stories I hear from
dug his trip.
You know JT, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, his... Tube Steak was the dad. So I get all the inside scoops on like Mickey Dora and all the parties and...
His trip. Like his trip of like, where's Dora? And he left for like 30 years and where'd he go? And I just always loved that whole,
Dude, he's rad.
He's my favorite surfer of all time. And not just really because of his exploits on a wave.
Yeah, but just his lifestyle.
Him.
Yeah, just super.
Just irreverent and rebellious and truth's just like raw. Just like, he just was, to me, when I was 8, I got my first surfboard. Before that, I body surfed since I was 3, and it was just always about Dora for me. I didn't care about nothing. No disrespect to like, you know, I guess I got my first surfboard at Dewey Weber's shop in Hermosa Beach.
Oh, okay,
I knew about Mike Doyle. I knew about like Corky. I knew about all these guys. Mike Hinson. They were cool. Whatever. I didn't even see anything but Dora for me when I was a kid. He was the whole thing. He was, for me, he was Jim Morrison.
Surfing. Pretty much.
Okay. Yeah. And I dug the Doors.
Yeah.
I remember when their first song came out and being a kid going, you know, whoa, his sound is so cool. And then at the same time, Dora was who Dora was. It was just the whole thing. I was a little grom going, whoa. So, yeah, it's cool to hear because I was just stoked that you said his name. That's really cool.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of good.
There's 5 right there.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're comfortable with that, I mean, if you want to throw anyone else in there, I'm with you. No pressure.
Well, I just want to say one of the guys that I really enjoyed surfing with and has been a big influence in my life was Hobie Fletcher. And of course, I love Christian and Nathan. They're like my brothers. They both freaking rip. But Hobie was like pretty much my second dad. He was such a big influence and helped me through my whole career. You know, through Wave Warriors but just not only that, just he was such a fun person to surf with. Not only did he shred, and he was such an innovator.
Yes.
And could ride the nose or get barreled or, I mean, just
free on
all
a wave.
around.
Free on a wave.
One of the craziest dudes I've ever met. I mean, I was on the cliff at YMN when he rode those huge waves with his jet ski, and I was like scared for him. I thought he was gonna die because he's fucking. I go, what were you doing, man? I go, what do you? Just don't fucking let go, Arch. You know, and it's like holding on to the handlebars. You know, he said, and his feet were like just scorpion and hitting him in the back of the head, and just going through
story.
Like big, huge, like it was so gnarly. And I remember being on the cliff with like Hugger, and I was like, he's gonna die, dude. And we're like, you know, standing on. It's like big Wednesday moment. You know, we're standing on the hood of the car. Everybody's lined up. The bay's closing out, and there's Hobie fucking dropping in on these waves on his jet ski. Just crazy. And you know, nobody was paying him to do that.
No, he just pure talk about love of surfing, love of riding waves.
The ocean. So that's really what I was just telling my wife that story and just how important it is to me that nobody was paying him to go do that, and that's like the backbone to surfing or a waterman or like that is like true love of, like he always said, the thrill is back,
Yeah.
because that's what he's all about. And I just want to say, like, he's a great dude.
Great
I love him,
dude,
yeah.
great influence, great guy.
Gnarly.
Just, really
Ahead of it, innovator. Ahead of his
innovator in every way, shape, and form.
time. Yeah.
Like an uncle to all of us,
Yeah.
especially to certain people,
And
obviously.
Herb,
and Herb, yeah. Let's give it up to Herbie Fletcher,
Yeah.
man.
And then another one guy, Dane Kealoha.
Nice.
Yeah.
So now you've hit on another one of my top five.
Yeah,
Dane
dude.
Kealoha is like,
Backdoor man.
oh my gosh.
Dude, you kidding me?
Just so much power, so much raw power.
Dude.
Like even this one poster of him, we think of him as like those waves, right?
Yeah.
But even there's one spot of him somewhere on this. I think it's like I forget what it is. Some shot of him, like he's got a bandana.
Oh, yeah,
and he's like South Shore, and the water's all.
probably.
Yeah, I think it's Kaiser's. Just
Fierce.
fucking so strong.
Nobody messed with Dane, dude. When I first went on the tour, that's funny. When I was 16, I was riding for Town and Country, and they sent me to Japan. The first spot I went, and I was traveling with Dane. I got to travel with Dane for a whole year on the tour. So I was just like, he showed me the ropes in the first year, and
incredible.
And everywhere I went, I would be with Dane. So I'd be like, I'd run and get his stuff or whatever. But I was proud to, and
Totally.
and he was like, I go, now what do I do, Dane? And he's just like, and then he, of course, in Hawaii, he showed me, introduced me to all the boys, and you want to shake this guy's hand, and you want to shake this guy's hand, and he was a good dude.
Really good dude, man. And he really helped you, and
yeah,
just
huge.
Really, really huge on every level. And I want to say all respect to Dane Kealoha on my show. He personally, for me, was someone that I just always recognized that power, that raw, just like he just did something. I feel like he's undermentioned to some degree. Like when you look back and you go, what? You mean Dane Kealoha's name's not in there? What are we talking about? Not saying personal five or anything, that just in general.
Yeah.
Certain guys you go, wow, you don't really hear a lot about like certain guys that you feel like maybe just time, certain people are more flashy or whatever at that time or whatever, but yeah, all respect for Dane Kealoha, absolutely. You know what I want to say is we can kind of, pulling, coming down toward the end of the show, I'd say, what are we doing now? What's going on nowadays? Anything you'd like to talk about what you're doing nowadays?
I'm just, I'm living, in San Clemente, of course, with my wife, Audrey, and my daughter, Poppy, and
how old is Poppy now?
she's 15. Yeah, she's so funny. She's super smart, and she's like full scholar.
She's 15.
Mm-hmm. Sophomore.
Huh. San Clemente?
No, she goes to a school called Sage Hill.
Oh, cool.
It's like a college prep school.
Sick.
She's she's
smart.
She's crazy smart, or it's like kind of blows me. She talks about things, and I'm like, can you explain that to me first? She'll use a word. I go, I don't even know what that word means. You're gonna have to explain the word first.
So cool.
And it's not just once or twice. It's all like daily,
all the time.
Daily.
Beautiful.
You got to tell me what you're talking
Beautiful.
about.
That's just so beautiful.
So yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm doing my I sling my Archie's garage shirts and
cool.
And wear like I do sweatshirts, jackets, hats, and whatnots. And
cool. Archie's garage is in full swing.
Yeah.
And we've got like merch or whatever, just stuff to buy, different designs.
I brought you guys a shirt.
Oh, sick.
And I just been trying to surf. I just got my passport back, so.
From how long didn't you have it?
A couple years.
Okay. Now you got it. Where you
I'm all
going,
psyched,
mister?
Dude.
Yeah, I'm
got
out
my
here.
pass, like sending pictures of people. Look, I got my.
That's sick.
Because I've never been landlocked. Like, dude, you can't go anywhere because I owe taxes.
Oh, okay.
And so they delinquent taxes, and so I went to renew my passport, and they sent me a letter back saying I couldn't. I was like almost cried. I was like, ah. And my heart was like, ah. And so I
you got
was
it
on a
back.
mission to get it back, and it took 2 years, and I just got it Saturday.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And I was just like, yeah, I've never not had a passport.
Ooh,
like I
me
felt like
too.
I was like,
whoa,
I can't go anywhere.
How about people that don't even have one? I give them so much shit. I'm like, you have one of the best passports in the world. Half the world can't even travel.
Yeah,
There's so many countries you can't leave your country, and we can just go
Exactly.
get a passport and fly off to wherever. And go, I don't got my passport. I'm like, whoa.
Dude, it's gnarly.
So weird.
Yeah,
I've had one since you could have one.
Yeah, right.
Because I am a lover of travel. I always have been. Even when I had no money, I would leave with no money.
Yeah,
go to the airport and go, I don't know. It was just I traveled a lot in my life because I didn't want to be landlocked. I wanted to experience that, right? And so you're doing okay. Where have you not been that you would like to go the most?
Good question. God, that's a really good question. Well, I've never been.
And I like asking good questions.
Yeah, you're good at it. My daughter's good at that too. She has
It's just, because that's where where's the, you know what I mean? Like,
oh, and then I want to say hi to my other daughter, Ruby. She's actually really smart too. It's weird. Both of my daughters are like super brainiacs. Like she goes to Fordham in New York.
Wow.
And she's studying for a PhD. But I was like, "What are you like? Are you sure they're my kids?"
Everyone has intelligence in certain areas,
yeah, okay.
right? Okay.
Anyways, so I'd like to go to. I know I'm pretty much lined up to go to El Salvador.
Okay.
I just ran into Harris the other day. He said it's so good.
Dave Harris, he's been there forever.
30-something years. So
and you haven't been there yet?
I've never been there.
Oh, me neither. I've never been to El Salvador.
You gotta go check it out.
Well, my friend is coming on our show, David Electric. David Ellis, he's a guitarist for Steel Pulse.
Oh, cool.
He's coming on the show. I think you know him. Yeah. He's from here. He grew up here. Went to San Clemente High School. His dad was a coach.
Nathan's birthday party.
I think he was. And anyway, he just got back from there and surfed Punaroka, just pumping.
Dude, I heard it's insane.
And just, he actually injured his shoulder coming out of this tube. But he said it was just incredible.
Well, that's a good way to injure the shoulder coming out of a barrel instead of like tripping downstairs to go to your office or something,
Totally.
Right?
Totally.
How'd you do it? I was carrying my briefcase and I tripped down the stairs. How'd you do it? I was in a barrel and just got spit out and just kind of
got clipped, yeah. And he just got off tour traveling with Steel Pulse all over Europe,
so cool.
And just really cool. So what I'm super stoked on too is the kind of people that I get to have on my show,
That's so rad.
Artists, surfers, filmmakers, musicians, just, an eclectic group of people, just
You get to learn a lot.
I do. I feel like that's for me. I'm a curious dude.
You've always been like that, dude. I've always liked to talk to you because you never know what you always got something going on, Like from your like juice diet to, I was telling my wife, like, I've known Caveman for like, I don't know, at least 40 years.
At least 40 years, yeah.
And I just lose track after 30 or something. And and he's been through it all, with Roy and Cole and like like we're talking about the early years. So, and it's, there's not that many of us left. It's the handful of people that have been here since early San Clemente. And
True.
It's
True.
all the crazy stories and just that one will come up. My wife always says, try to think of a new story or something. Like, well, there's only so many I can, so a lot of them I can't even say because it's
it's a little too over the because we don't want you to lose your passport again.
No, the one where we stole the tiki for Roy and down and put it in the surf spot.
That's awesome stuff.
It was like it was like a big tiki down there by the pier somewhere, someone's house.
Yep.
I don't know where it was. And we rattled it out, and then we all, like three of us, me, Hugger, and I think maybe I don't know who else it was, but Red or someone, and we put it on our shoulders, and, after a party, and we ran down the street, and we're like, hey, we got a tiki for you, dude. And shit like that is, that was a long time ago. So
that really was. That was 40 years ago.
Yeah.
We got that. I got that lease for that shop.
Yeah.
From the lady who had our sleigh, and I met her and kind of just somehow talked to her about like, can we want to rent it? And she's like, who are you guys? And we're just she looks at us like me and Roy, and it's first meeting for me and Roy before Cole got involved.
Yeah.
And she's looking at us going, okay. You know what I mean? And we go, no, but we just pitched her on the whole deal. And so she finally just said, okay, I'll give you kids and then Bob Knott still had the lease.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So he was trying to sell us our sleigh shop.
I haven't heard that name in a while.
And yeah, exactly. And we were like, well, we don't know if we want to pay $10,000 for what do you have? Like he was trying to, Bob Knott, he was trying to pull a stunt, right? So I already got the lease from the lady. And so then Bob Knott was like, hey, man, you guys want to pay me for the shop? And I go, well, I don't know why I would. We ran into me and Roy on El Camino Real, and he comes up to me, kind of vibing me, trying to be all gnarly. And I look at him, and Roy remembered it. We just talked about it on his episode. It comes out today. He and I said, well, I don't know why we would do that, because check this out, Bob. I have the key. And he was like, he came at me like, and then all of a sudden I look at him and go, because he forgot for a second he thought he was going to intimidate me.
Yeah.
And because he was older and gnarly or whatever. And I just looked at him, I go, yeah, we can, whatever you want to do. Like, and he realized like, oh yeah, KB works out like 84 hours a day. Like, I don't know if I want any part of that. So then that was a moment when we, such a cool deal, the surf spot. I know you have such a friendship with Roy and such a legacy of you guys and such a big influence in your life, and huge. He loves you and I know you love him. And, and I want to say, I'm just so stoked to have you on my show. And,
thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. I mean, what else am I going to do? I get Archie on my show, talk to the doctor.
That's right. Talk to the doc.